Luyện nghe cho kỳ
Good
thi thật.
morning. I was wondering if I could get some more information about joining your car club. How does the scheme work exactly?
Of course. Well, the main thing is that each member of the car club has access to our fleet of cars whenever they need one. So once you've joined, you just go along and pick one up at a convenient location and drop it off when you're done. This means you no longer need to own your own car.
I've had a look at your website and it says you have cars in locations all over the UK, but I'd like to know which would be the closest to me.
Certainly. If I can have your postcode, I can tell you that.
I'm in London, so that's NW5 2JX.
OK. So the closest location would be 3 streets away on Islip Street.
Sorry, could you spell that, please?
Certainly. That's I-S-L-I-P, Islip Street. It's not far from where you live. It's less than a mile away.
Okay, I know where you mean. It's not far from the school where I work. And how easy is it to pick up a car?
Well, once you have your membership card, you just go along to the nearest location and find a car there. Then you simply place your membership card over the card reader on the windscreen in order to unlock the car. So then you can just get in.
Then isn't there a computer inside the car or something?
Yes, you enter a number on that, and it releases the immobilization, which means the engine will start.
Right. So how do I book a car?
The easiest way is online on our website.
What about by phone?
You can do it that way, but you will need to pay a small surcharge to use this facility.
Now listen and answer questions 5 to 10.
Okay. Now, what about the cost? How much can I expect to pay per hour? I've seen various prices advertised, and I'm a little confused.
Well, it depends on the size of the car, among other things, which I'll come to in a minute, but prices start at £3.96 an hour.
Really? As little as that? No matter what vehicle I choose?
No, sir, the larger cars cost up to £5.96.
Right. So how does using this scheme mean I save thousands of pounds a year, like you say on your website?
Well, it means you don't need to own your own car. So we take into account all the things car owners have to pay. But of course, the amount you save depends on the kind of car you drive.
But I suppose I still have to pay for the fuel, don't I?
Actually, you don't. That's all covered in the cost.
Wow, that is good. So if I decide to join, do my wife and son also need their own membership cards?
Yes, they will. However, they will get a discount on the standard rate. I should add, though, that there is an additional membership fee of £10 a month for drivers under the age of 20.
Oh, why's that? It seems a bit unfair.
I know, but I'm afraid we don't have any choice. It's because for younger drivers we have to pay a lot more for insurance costs.
Is there any other way of saving money?
Well, we have a frequent users card, which costs an additional £12.50 per month, but it entitles you to 20% off the hourly rates. This means you save more money the more you use the car.
Okay. Now, what else do I need to know? What about pets? Can we take them in the car?
I'm afraid not. There's all sorts of problems with allergies and things.
Okay, that's good to know at least.
And lastly, we have good green credentials. Taking public transport more and only using a car when you really need one is better for the environment.
And that's always a good thing in my wife's eyes. Okay, well, I have all I need.
Do call back if you have any more questions, and thanks for calling.
Section 2. You'll hear an HR representative of Earn and Learn giving some information about her company. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 16.
Welcome to all of you. Can everybody see and hear me? Good. I'm Sarah Connor, an HR representative of Earn and Learn. I have been asked today to talk to you about our company. So, for those of you who don't know very much about the company, let me start by giving you some basic information about it. Earn and Learn started nearly 20 years ago. It is not a charity but a for-profit company that enables promising entrepreneurs to make money while traveling. During the past 10 years, it has grown rapidly and has gained great influence in most countries of the world. We have a partnership with the school and take a large number of recent graduates from the business school. So, if you are a recent graduate, I'd say you can consider applying to our company. Before your application, you might be curious about what sort of places you could go to. There are 4 main locations, but you also have the freedom to submit a different location, and if they can make the necessary arrangements, you can go. The first country Earn and Learn established locations was the US, where you may choose from multiple locations, as long as you can commit to their more rigid schedule of August to December. Also, you could do the Australia internship. That one is really cool. You work at a wildlife shelter and learn about the business practices of non-profit organizations. You do have to be willing to commit 8 months for that one, though. Perhaps that's a long time to be so far away, but I would say it is really an amazing opportunity. I don't know whether some of you are in decent physical shape. If so, the South Africa internship is another exciting one. You learn a lot about sustainable farming, but you would be doing some of the manual labor involved in maintaining a farm. Indeed, it's hard work, but I think you would definitely be able to do it. It may be wise to wait until after their summer is over, so it's not so terribly hot. In addition, there is a most recently established location in India. This one gives you more of a study abroad feel, given that they arrange a host family for you to stay with. In the other locations, you live in an apartment with other interns, so this is definitely a unique experience.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 17 to 20.
Regardless of where you go, at the end of the program you get a global traveling certificate, as long as you can explain your experience. You can provide a written log of what you did. I recommend writing journal or blog entries about what you do every day, or a weekly summary of each day. Of course, you don't have to write up a formal report or anything like that, and you need to apply for it once you have returned. Some students may want to know whether this is a paid internship. Actually, you have to pay for the flight there yourself. But you have the opportunity to create your own small business, which could earn you money if it's successful. So basically, you pay for it all up front, but when you're there, you can find ways to make money. That is to say, you pay for 2/3 of the cost up front as a deposit, and then give the final installment 1 month prior to your return. Finally, I have to remind you that you need a health check before you go, to make sure you're not going to spread any communicable diseases. In addition, before you go, you don't have to attend any meetings or workshops. You'll meet everyone you'll be working with once you get there. Okay. Well, that's all I've time for today. Thanks for listening, and I'm happy to take any questions if you have them.
That is the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to Section 3. Section 3. You will hear a student called Julie talking to her classmate named Ricky about a new essay that Professor Johnson assigned. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 24. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 24.
Hi, Julie, it's Ricky.
Hi, Ricky. How are you? I noticed you weren't in psychology today.
I'm feeling sick, so I didn't go to school today. Would you mind telling me what I missed in class?
Sure thing. I'm sorry you're not feeling well. Anyway, we spent most of the class talking about a new essay that Professor Johnson assigned. You need to choose one of the bold headings from the note system and research it.
Wow, I picked the wrong day to miss class, huh?
You sure did.
Could you tell me the specific requirements of this paper?
Sure. You need to find scientific research that supports your claim as one of your references. It can be from some of the case studies we discussed in class, or you can find your own. Or even better, you can conduct your own research. I'm sure that would get you an A.
Have you decided what you're going to do yet? Also, where are you getting your references?
Yeah, I'm going to research facial recognition by infants. I've already found a few experiments in scientific journals. That would probably be a good start for you. There are tons of journals in the library.
Great idea, thanks. I'm considering writing my essay on the effects of one of the psychotropic drugs we talked about in class. I'm sure there is lots of stuff about it on the internet. Are we allowed to use information from the internet?
Sure, you can use that as long as it's not your main source for information. You'll probably want to cite some of the experiments we went over.
Good idea, thanks. I'm going to try to find some information from a bunch of different sources.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 25 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 25 to 30.
Are there any specifications on how the essay should be written?
Yeah, Professor Johnson wants it double-spaced. It should be between 6 to 10 pages long.
6 to 10 pages? That's so much. Oh, it's going to take forever.
I know, the whole class groaned when he said that. Anyway, you also need to put the title in italics and...
Wait, each section heading or just the main heading?
Only the main heading should be in italics. I think section titles are supposed to be in the same format, but maybe in bold. You'll have to check that in class next time.
Oh, okay. So I take it that the report has to be typed, since there are so many requirements. What are the other formatting requirements?
Yep, it's got to be typed. Aside from that, there are still a few more specifications. You should number each page. Make sure it goes up in the top right corner.
Okay, I'll make sure to write that down. I always forget to number the pages. Do we need to title and date each page too?
You need the shortened title on every page, but no need to include the date. That should just be on the cover page.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Also, make sure the margins are 3.25 pixels wide.
What? I'm not even sure how to do that.
Oh, it's okay, I can show you. It's really easy. I think that's all the directions he gave us. A lot of formatting requirements, but we have the freedom to research many things that we like, so that's good. Oh, I almost forgot. Remember to put down your ID number on your report.
Thanks so much for your help. I'll see you in class Monday.
No problem. Glad I could help. See you later.
That is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 4.
Today we're starting a series of lectures on ethics in engineering. That is, engineering principles relating to right and wrong conduct and the sorts of moral responsibilities that you will have to uphold in your professional lives. I'm going to start by giving you a brief outline of the history of ethics in engineering. It was, of course, only in the 19th century that engineering really emerged as a profession. Initially, ethical issues were considered to be a personal matter, something to be decided in accordance with one's own principles and values. However, things gradually changed as the profession grew and as engineering projects became larger and more complex. A need began to be felt for a more codified set of principles that all engineers would agree to follow. Unfortunately, it took 3 major disasters to bring about this change in attitude. All 3 of these involved the collapse of bridges. The first, known as the Ashtabula River Railroad disaster, happened in 1876 in the USA, and we now think it was probably caused by metal fatigue. Then, in 1879, there was a second disaster, this time in Scotland. This occurred because engineers had failed to correctly calculate the effects that wind would have on the structure. The third collapse occurred in 1907, in Canada. This was also due to an engineering design problem. The weight of the structure was so great that it could not support itself, and it collapsed. Public outcry over disasters such as these eventually led to the establishment of professional societies for engineers in most industrializing societies. Another different type of disaster also had an impact on the development of professional engineering organizations, and I'd like to talk about this in a little more detail. This incident, which happened early in the 20th century, is known as the Boston Molasses Disaster. At the time, molasses was used rather than sugar as the principal sweetener in the USA. It was also used in the manufacture of a number of other important products. One company in the city of Boston had a large amount of molasses waiting to be transferred to another factory. The molasses, more than 8 million liters of thick, sticky liquid, was stored in a tank. Suddenly, this collapsed, unleashing a wave of molasses up to 5 meters high. Nearby buildings were swept off their foundations and crashed to the ground. The wave also swept away a considerable stretch of railway track. Many streets round the factory were covered with a thick layer of sticky brown molasses. Local residents were furious, as they felt that the company was to blame. They banded together and succeeded in bringing about a trial, charging the company with negligence. After 3 years, the company was found responsible for the accident and required to pay out in damages the equivalent of $6 or $7 million in today's money. Even today, no one is absolutely sure about the immediate causes of the accident. However, it is certainly clear that not enough safety tests were carried out. Had these been done in accordance with the standards now applicable, then the accident would almost certainly have been prevented. It seems that the collapse was probably brought about by fermentation of the molasses, which led to an increase in pressure. This increase probably exerted too much force against a fatigue crack or some other weakness. However, this was one of the main incidents which led to increased legislation in the 1920s to regulate engineers and the engineering profession. It is the reason why we can now only operate if we have gained a license. This requires us always to be conscientious about doing everything necessary to avoid disasters, however time-consuming or expensive this may sometimes seem. Let's move on now to another